everyone! Welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. 'Tis I, Captain Logan! And look, as always, it's my wonderful chat moderator and producer, DJ Martinez! Hello, DJ Martinez.
Hello, Captain Logan. The guy's gonna say your last name, but you don't. Captain Logan doesn't have a last name.
No, it's Logan. Is what we pretend like it is anyway. That's my for my pen name. It's my last name.
Yeah.
Yeah. People like to be like, oh, your first name's Captain, your last name's Logan. It's like, no, I have an actual first name, and I think some people think my first name is Logan. Also, like I've had folks over the years that don't really like the Captain thing, and you know. That's fair, but it's a silly, fun thing I started with that I've just kept this whole time. And so there have been folks that I've talked to and worked with throughout the years that just call me Logan. So I feel like somebody's calling me by my last name, you know, like a cop, like Murphy or something.
And yeah, we won't speak of the other first name that you had for a couple.
Oh, the Admiral first name? I guess we will speak of it. Yeah, I just want to make sure that's what you were talking about. Well, anyway,
good times.
Welcome back to the Captain Logan Show. It is a Tuesday. It's our kind of off day where sometimes we do the Captain Logan Show, sometimes we'll do a commentary, and we decided to just pop in and chat with you guys for an hour about whatever you guys would like to talk about. As always, if you want to make sure that your question or comment is read on air, you can leave us a super chat, and that just guarantees that we read whatever you want to throw in, but you certainly don't have to do that. We sure appreciate everybody that has done that or ever will do that. You guys are wonderful. That really helps kind of move things along here on the channel. We are mostly these days like 85% or better funded by the audience, so we certainly really appreciate that, but we'll get to some pre-written stuff as well, so just leave comments and we'll get to as many as we can. And I want to try to knock out a bunch of pre-written tonight if we can, because the super chats have been crazy the last couple weeks, which is wonderful, and thanks to everybody for doing that, but I kind of feel bad for shafting some of the pre-written, so DJ, if you don't see, because I don't know how many folks are going to be here tonight, if you don't see a whole bunch of pre-written tonight, and you've got anything that you've saved from the last couple weeks, because I know you do that sometimes, feel free to jump into some of your archive questions and jump back and grab some of that stuff. Look how organized we are here on the Captain Logan Show.
Quite the archive, man. I have been using the same note all the way back since I started.
Wow, so there's questions that go back that far. You know, we should do a show one of these days that's just some stuff from that list. I think that could be really cool. Go all the way back to like a year ago, because you've been here with us just over a year now.
That would be crazy. When did I start? Oh yeah, I'm looking at, man. Anyway, well that's a good idea. We should do that sometime.
Yeah, we should. I think that'd be a really fun show, and just do a like totally non-super chat night. I think that could be really interesting. I wonder if we would want to do it like pre-recorded.
Maybe so, because people might be mad that we're not answering their questions.
Yeah, because if anybody decides to leave a super chat and we're not actually answering them that night, I would feel weird about that. I want to make sure and answer things if a super chat is left. But I think we should do that show at some point.
Yeah, I've got something all the way from June 12th of 2019. That's when it starts.
That's wild. See, look how organized DJ is. When I said look how organized we are, I really mean DJ, because I am the least organized person on the planet. Which is why this show is perfect for me. I just press a button and hope for the best. So anyway, we're going to talk about whatever you guys want to. Before we get into your questions, though, I wanted to chat just briefly about an announcement that came out today. Let me go ahead and put this on the monitor. So DC is doing this virtual event in August called the DC Fandome event. And they're going to be revealing a whole bunch of stuff that they probably wanted to talk about at San Diego Comic-Con that they weren't able to do because that's not happening. And I think San Diego is also doing are they doing a virtual thing, or is it just like a bunch of different companies are all doing their own? I keep hearing about these virtual events. And the first one I found out about actually was, besides some stuff that Wizard was doing, was Renegade Studios, which makes the Power Rangers game that I play, that I just started playing a couple weeks ago, the miniatures game. They had a virtual event a couple weeks ago, and I wish I had not been so busy. I would have loved to have jumped on and looked at some of that, because they had some Power Rangers content on that. But anyway, a lot of these companies, these kind of geeky, you know, comic companies, game companies, TV studios, etc., are doing these events now because of the quarantine, and it's really nice because you don't have to actually be there, and there's all this, exclusive content that anybody can come on and look at. And I've always appreciated we've had some of this stuff even well before quarantine, where, like, I remember Rebirth was announced this way, where you had, like, this hour-long panel with Dan Didio and a number of other creators and big wigs at DC, kind of unveiling what the big line was going to look like down the road. And I kind of wish more stuff was revealed that way, partly because you wouldn't have as much misinformation. It's like we all get to hear what was said in the first place. Like, I get the novelty of getting to go there and find out about it in the room, and it feels all exclusive and like you're being rewarded for standing in a line for 3 hours at Hall H. But then how often do you do that? And then at the end of it, you're like, I don't know if that really was worth the 3 hours I stood in line. Like, I wish somehow you could have your cake and eat it too, and a little bit of stuff could be done, at Comic-Con, because I understand and appreciate why people like to do that, but I wish more stuff was done this way. So anyway, DC is, I think, doing this to, keep people, interested in their stuff while they haven't been able to put out much new lately. I think this is kind of a smart move for them, and they're going to be announcing a lot of movie and TV news, and I wanted to read their, official press release, because there's a couple of really interesting things in here that I think we need to talk about. So this is going to happen, when is it? It's in, like I said, it's in August. I don't know the exact date. I think I read the 22nd. I'm not seeing it here. Well, yes, the 22nd. It launches Saturday the 22nd. It goes for 24 hours, and there's this whole, set of different kinds of events they're doing. So they're doing, like, a whole thing for kids. There's the Traveler's Tales logo, so I assume there'll be some stuff with Lego there. And then they're doing stuff for TV and movies and comics and things. One thing I'm really interested to find out is if there's any announcement as to the fate of DC Universe, the streaming service, at this thing. I think
that'd be cool.
It's very likely that something is brought up about that, considering that some of the things on this list are things on DC Universe. So anyway, let me read this because it's interesting. So, Warner Brothers has officially announced the DC Fandome, launching Saturday, August 22nd. By the way, this event doesn't require purchasing tickets or anything, so anybody can come into this. I don't know if it's going to be a ticketed... Some of these things have been ticketed, where you just have to sign up for a ticket, and then you have to log in, but you don't actually have to pay for it. So I don't know if this is just going to let anybody come in. It reads that way, or if before the event you have to sign up for something. That I'm not sure about yet. Launching Saturday, August 22nd at 10 a.m., and accessible around the world for 24 hours. We'll deliver content, reveals, announcements, and the opportunity to hear from the cast and creators of TV's Batwoman, Black Lightning, Legends of Tomorrow. So I guess that's still going. DC's Stargirl. So I guess that's probably getting a second season, or they're just talking about this first season. Flash. Watchmen. What is Watchmen doing on this list? What exactly does that mean? We'll talk about that in a second. Doom Patrol, Titans, Harley Quinn, which I'm still wondering if that's going to leave DC Universe and go over to HBO Max. And that's a lot of why I'm kind of curious to find out if anything is said about DC Universe there, besides the fact that I really want the comics to stay. Lucifer, Pennyworth. Yeah, Pennyworth is still going. Supergirl, Superman and Lois, DC Superhero Girls, Teen Titans Go, and Young Justice Outsiders. Now that's interesting. I assume that that's their... Okay, you know what? I just had a thought. I'll mention this in a minute, as well as the big screens: Aquaman, Batman, Black Adam, Shazam, Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Interesting that in an official press release they're referring to it that way. Yeah, the Suicide Squad and Wonder Woman 1984. So I just thought of something. I think a lot of folks today are overreacting to Watchmen. I was just about to overreact to Watchmen, and now I'm realizing I shouldn't do that. I've been reading some outlets all day saying, oh man, Watchmen's on that list. Maybe that means there's a second season. Like, why would it be there? Okay, but you have other things that are on this list that are finished. Like, if they make another season of Young Justice, it's probably not going to be called Outsiders, right? Like, that's the name of that last season. And that makes me think that, and like, I don't know that Stargirl has been officially greenlit for another season, or is that going over to CW? Actually, I think that's what I read. But anyway, isn't it possible that a lot of things on this list are just panels, like of creators and of actors that were in things recently that people that people watched, just like you'd have at a convention, right? Like, this isn't all necessarily news. It might be just panels about those things that are finished already. I feel like a moron, even thinking that the fact that Watchmen is in that list necessarily means anything about a potential second season for that show. We know Lindelof doesn't want to do it, that he's already said that he's not going to be involved in another season, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there won't ever be one, because HBO still could make more if they wanted to. So I think we all need to be really careful not to jump the gun on that, and make any assumptions of what that means, because I just realized there are other things on this list that may not mean anything as far as the future of those things. But anyway, so I just wanted to mention that that is happening, and if there's anything of consequence brought up in that, and I'm sure there will be at least some, we'll probably do a special show just on that whole event.
Yeah, like an E3 kind of video.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully there's enough content to discuss there.
Yeah. Mutale says, should there be a Geekvolution fandom?
Sure. What would that look like?
I don't know. We would announce all of our shows.
And just have panels.
We don't have a future plan of our shows. We just kind of make them up.
We make it
on
up
the spot, usually the day before.
No, that's true. Sometimes minutes before, in fact. I think especially live, especially off the cuff, I think my best stuff is when I had no idea what I was doing until I pressed a button. Or at least I enjoy doing that a lot. I think it might drive DJ and Brandon crazy, though, because very often right before a show I'll be like, oh guys, we're doing this. Why didn't you give me any notice? I didn't have any notice either, okay? Just the muse came out of nowhere. I don't actually subscribe to the whole muse idea, but when I get a keyboard under my fingers, DJ, sometimes stuff just comes out, and then I'm like, oh, that's a good idea, we should do that. DJ will tell you a lot of we're not doing one tonight, but a lot of the goals, the super chat goals that we've had on this show, I've come up with like minutes before. Like, oh, DJ, let's do this goal. I thought you said there wasn't one. Yeah, but I just thought of this.
Oh, so true.
Wonder
keeps me on my toes.
Wonder, I have talked about Ruby Rose leaving Batwoman. And again, like, Batwoman being on that list, I don't think should make anybody think, oh, they're definitely going to announce, like, the new Batwoman at that panel. Like, I don't know if they will have been able to pick one by then. But I don't know when they're wanting to start shooting that, or when they'll even be allowed to. I mean, everything's so up in the air with quarantine and stuff. Yeah, what's up?
People are asking about that, and the fact that they're replacing the character instead of replacing the actress.
Is that what they're doing?
That's what people said.
I think
the comments are saying.
Okay, I think that's a good idea, potentially. That you would just have a totally different character. What I think is kind of odd about that is that they made a big deal out of looking for another lesbian actress to play her because she's a lesbian, and so if they're replacing her with another character, that could be really super contrived, obviously. I mean, it's the CW, so I really wouldn't put that past them at all, DJ, but the idea that because I haven't watched this, but apparently in the show, Batwoman in costume, like, comes out to everyone at some point. And so it is public knowledge that whoever is under that mask is gay. So are they gonna, like, in the canon, like, somebody, like Fox is, like, going around looking for specifically a lesbian to be in that suit because they came out and said that she's a lesbian, so it's gotta be a lesbian? Like, I don't know. That all sounds really weird. I kind of like the idea of, well, I can see it both ways. I can see recasting or going with a totally different character. Probably because I don't know how, like, beloved that character, at least on TV, is. Like, I don't know how much that's really going to affect ratings all that hard. I don't think that show was, you watched super well. If you have to replace the character, it's too bad that you couldn't have done that, of course, while the actress was still there. But anyway,
yeah, they should peace conference it.
They should Power Rangers Peace Conference it. Yeah, she's at a peace conference! How long does that peace conference last? As long as we need it to.
Like, use old footage from her from, like, season 1. Clearly, and they get, like, a horrible voice actress to dub it.
Cinematographic says this is the CW, the DC Comics capital of contrived. I agree with that. Yeah, somebody asked if we beat a goal last week. We didn't have a goal. We certainly beat the Super Chat record last week, and I think maybe that's people keep asking me like, did we beat the goal? I think maybe they were meaning record because we didn't actually do a Super Chat goal last week.
Yeah, I think that's what they mean. But that's cool.
Yeah.
It was a great show.
No, it was amazing. And you guys were absolutely wonderful.
We're going to top it tonight.
No, we're not, but that's fine. We just wanted to do a show, so let's chat about things. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. If anybody has anything to tack on to that about the Fandome thing, certainly let me know, DJ, but we can move on to whatever stuff people want us to talk about.
Yeah, all right. I'll jump right in. Anime 2020, interesting question.
Yeah.
Could be fun. Cap, if you could have a cameo in any upcoming superhero film, which would you choose?
It's funny you say upcoming because I'm just thinking about movies that are made that we were supposed to have seen by now that couldn't come out in the theater. Like there's just the first stuff that came to my mind. I'm like, movies you couldn't possibly be in, they were made already, but it's going to be like they're still working on them. I thought it was really funny that Wonder Woman 1984 was at the tail end of that list because that is the next big thing and we should have seen it already. And they've had like merchandising and things out for that for weeks. It's really funny. You can go out right now and buy like a bag of chips with Wonder Woman on it, but you're not going to be able to actually see that movie until what, October? Is that what they said? Or did they? Did they move it in even though November? I think October was the last date I saw. Naturally, the Batman. I don't know what I would want. If I had a cameo in a Batman movie, I don't know what it would be. I don't know if I would want it. I would want to be punched in the face by Batman, I think. I want to be like a thug or something. I think that'd be great.
I think I would want to be welding behind Peter Parker at some point in my career. Does it count as a cameo if no one... It only counts as a cameo if, like, you're famous, right?
Yes,
like,
but if I was a walk-on
it's...
extra in a movie, this is going to sound so conceited, to the Geekvolution audience, that's a cameo.
Yeah.
To everyone else in the world, that's just some guy.
Yeah. But hey, we're on Geekvolution, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, sure. Right now I get to not just be some guy, but generally, in my everyday walk of life, I'm just some guy. So yeah, no, that's a really good point you're making, though. Like retroactively now, your appearance for like 2.5 seconds in the background in Spider-Man Homecoming is absolutely a cameo from DJ Martinez to the fans of the Captain Logan show.
Speaking of Geekvolution and self-indulgency,
yeah.
John Ty, kind of what we were talking about earlier, what would the Comic-Con version of Geekvolution be like?
You know, I have wanted to do a Geekvolution convention for a long time, and the thing that kind of holds me up on it is just that I don't have any idea how many people would show up. I mean, I guess it would have to be, and I guess most conventions are done this way now, it would have to be the kind of thing where we would need a head count, right? Like, we'd have to sell tickets ahead of time and then find out, you know, how many people were actually coming. And if we could get to a certain number, we'd go ahead and have it. And it'd probably just be in, like, one room in a hotel, you know? Like, if we could get, like, 50 people to show up, that'd probably be enough for, like, a little convention. And you wouldn't have... you would have vendors and stuff because there wouldn't be enough people, you know, for them to be sold to. We obviously we're small potatoes. It wouldn't be like a big convention. I thought about having some kind of like event at a larger convention where we all get together. We rent out a room and then Geekvolution subscribers like all have access to this room that nobody else has access to. I always thought that would be really cool. And then I would have events in that room, and I would be available for chatting with people one-on-one at you know, particular times, and we do panels. I've also thought about, this is an idea I had once, of course, this would be way down the road now because of the whole quarantine situation. Obviously, people are going to be trepidatious about sitting in a movie theater for a while, but I always thought it would be cool to try to get a bunch of people together in person, DJ, rent out a movie theater, and do a live commentary at a movie theater.
Oh, that would be amazing.
I always thought that would be really cool. Me and Eric, me and Dan, me and you. I always thought that would be really cool.
That would be so cool. Like, and then we could have a panel afterwards.
Yeah.
If there's enough of us there.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I think, you know, if we had 50 or 100 people for that, that would be enough to warrant it probably. But yeah, I've had a lot of ideas for live events, and I wanted to do something for the 10th anniversary. That was last year. We just weren't able to get it together in time. But I've always wanted to do something like that. The problem with the idea of a virtual convention, somebody asked that earlier, like you know, what would the Geekvolution Fandome look like? Is that it's essentially what we do already, right? Like it's kind of what this is.
It would just be like the old Patreon hangouts, basically.
Brian says he'd come to Kansas City for a convention. Like, I probably, like I said, wouldn't do just a singular convention just for us and try to get a bunch of people to pay to come to it. It would probably make a lot more sense to make it an event in a larger convention, unless you did that movie theater thing. That could be cool enough. And then maybe, like, we rent out a back room in a restaurant somewhere and then go have dinner afterwards or something. You know, we could make it an all-day thing.
I wonder how much it is to rent out a movie theater. My realtor did it. My realtor rented out a movie theater when Star Wars last one came out.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's called.
Rise of
he invited
Skywalker.
all of his customers, all of his people who bought a house from him to it. That's how we saw it. We saw it for free. But I don't know how much it costs.
Mutali says make it a Patreon goal. Yeah, I mean, there would have to be enough interest in the first place. I would have to somehow have a good enough sense of how many people could realistically commit to it, because if we just kind of arbitrarily said, okay, we're going to make it like a really big Patreon goal, maybe do it over, you know, so that we would have the extra cash to like rent out a place and stuff. Like, I would want to really throw some money at it and make it good. And that would require a budget. But then people individually would still like have to fly themselves out and stuff, because obviously I wouldn't be able to, you know, afford all of that. And so I would. The problem with making it a Patreon goal is, or excuse me, not a Patreon goal, a Super Chat goal is if you knew, well, I guess he said Patreon goal too, but I guess the problem with Patreon or Super Chat, I guess I read Super Chat when you said that, but Patreon is just, if you didn't know for sure that enough people could be there, you'd be promising a thing that you maybe wouldn't be able to actually deliver, and that would be a big problem. So I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how we do it. I mean, we'd have to really sit down and get organized and figure it out. It would be pretty monumental. I don't think it would be as complicated as making the comic shop documentary. So it would, you know, I really want to do something like that at some point. But obviously, next year, the year after, at the very, very earliest, considering, I mean, like, well, late next year because of the virus and everything.
Yeah. No, that'd be fun. I'm into it. I'm down. Tyler, overall, Cap, have you seen the 1940s Batman serials? And if you have, did you prefer the first or second one?
It has been forever. I've only seen clips of, okay, which one did I see? I think it was the 43. I'm almost positive the one I saw was, oh wait, no, I'm not sure. I think the one I saw was the second one, now that I say that. Whichever the one was with the mad scientist, with the, like, really cliche, you know, electrodes everywhere in his lair, that's the one I saw, and I've only seen bits and pieces of the other one. Those have been reviewed by Lance Fusion, by Mr. Fusion, and those videos are great, so go check out Lance's channel and watch those because they're really funny. But I've seen clips from one of them through Lance, but the other one I actually watched on VHS when I was a kid, found at a Walmart somewhere or something. There's some really nice transfers on DVD now. I don't know if those have been put on Blu-ray yet, but...
You said the one with the scientist. Apparently you have to clarify, because Tyler said, was the scientist Japanese?
I think it was the Japanese scientist. I think so. Yeah. Again, it's been forever, so I really don't remember anymore. But I remember when I was a kid really enjoying it.
Blue Dragon 5 says, probably 43. How black was the
black
cape and
was the
cowl?
cape and cowl? I don't think very black. I think it was mostly all gray. And I think this was true of both of them, but the ears were very droopy. Like, they didn't stand straight up. They, like, flipped over like that.
Droopy ears. My favorite Batman is droopy
Tyler says
Batman.
the Japanese scientist was the first one. I'm going to look up a clip real quick, because I can tell you very quickly which one it was. Because I remember the music in it pretty vividly. This will probably get us copyright flagged, but I'm gonna show a minute of this.
That's a good question. Do you have any famous ancestors, Cap?
No, I don't. I don't think I do. Okay, so listen to the music at the beginning of this. It sounds like '89, and it's crazy.
I wonder if,
Just the way that opens. I've always wondered that myself. Yeah, let me roll this back. Listen to the way this opens again. It's crazy how close to Elfman that is. Same instrumentation and everything. That's nuts. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was this one.
I actually don't know what Elfman's soundtrack sounds like because I haven't seen that. Droopy ears.
Yeah, see, look at those droopy ears.
Tyler says the second one actually had terrible costumes compared to the first one, so you may have seen the first one.
Interesting. Okay. Well, anyway, well, no, this is the first one. That's the 43.
Yeah, he's saying that the second one had even like really, really bad costumes.
Crazy. All right. No, cool question. I want to go back to those at some point.
I'd be interested to watch those with you. Maybe we could track them down and.
I mean, I've got them. It wouldn't be difficult to track them down. Yeah, we could totally do something on those.
If we could find some kind of rabbit room replacement.
Yeah. Yeah, or I could just send them to you. I mean, they're cheap, but you know, other people might not have access to them. I don't know if those are streaming anywhere.
So here we go.
Tyler says Batman brands people in the original with a Bat ink stamp. It's hilarious. See, that's where that comes from.
Now I want a Saturday Morning Watchmen intro for BBS where he does that.
And then Alfred's like, you're going too far. It's going to take them an hour to wash their skin.
Why has no one done that? That'd be amazing. I wish that whoever made that kept making those for like only Zack Snyder stuff. Oh, which trilogy, this is Mutali, which trilogy do you guys feel had the biggest impact and influence on the superhero genre? Nolan's Batman films or Raimi's Spider-Man films?
Batman easily, although, okay, so it's complicated, right? Like, I would say that okay, no, I'm going to change my answer and say it's dead even as far as, like, formula and stuff goes. So what we think of, or what I think of anyway, as the superhero movie formula is based almost entirely around what Raimi's Spider-Man movie did. Like, to the point where that parody thing, superhero movie, just did was just a carbon copy of Spider-Man. Like, it was just that movie, and then it just kind of sprinkled in some other things. And, like, they were kind of lazy. Those movies tended to do that, but I've always thought that was kind of a really good example of this. Like, it went, okay, what's the superhero movie formula? If we're going to parody superhero movies, what do we do? We'll just do Spider-Man. When I was in the
you also had that Jack Black. Have you ever seen that Jack Black Spider-Man skit parody with the Buffy girl?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you've never seen that? Oh, okay. It's like a short movie that he did where he's being Peter Parker, and it's like, yeah, never mind. I can't explain it if you don't know.
Yeah, I didn't know about that.
I'll have to send it to you later.
I'll look into that. Yeah, I didn't know about that. But anyway, so was that on a show or something? Like,
I don't know where it came from. I've only seen it on YouTube. I think it was Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jack Black, and they were like parodying the original Spider-Man.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. But what I was going to say is, so I've said this before, but I remember sitting in the theater when that came out in 2002. Remember, I was a junior in high school when that movie came out, and I remember thinking, this feels like I liked it, but I remember thinking like it's kind of formulaic. It feels like every other superhero movie. And then I thought, there haven't been that many, and then I couldn't really come up with an example of one that did exactly that formula. It was almost like I was seeing the future of superhero movies. Like, this is what I assumed if you had a formula for these things, it would be like. And so we did keep copying that, just the structure of that movie. And of course, it's a familiar structure in the first place. It's your standard 3-act, action movie kind of structure, but it also has a lot of the superhero tropes in the same beats that they'll be later on. The, like, figuring out your powers and, like, keeping your secret from your girlfriend who doesn't find out until a later movie, or maybe at the end, unless you decide to sort of retcon that, that kind of thing. And Begins, I think, in Dark Knight, influenced superhero movies a lot more tonally, and obviously Spider-Man influenced things tonally as well, but I've talked about this before too, not just superhero movies, but every action thing wanted to be Nolan's Batman after Nolan's Batman, and so obviously a lot of superhero movies also kind of fall into that. So I guess structurally, what you could maybe say is before Begins, or before Dark Knight, 'cause this is interesting to note that Spider-Man comes out only 3 years before Begins, and it feels like there's a big chasm between those things. But so Dark Knight is more of the influencer, but then retroactively Begins is, because then people like noticed that movie, like, oh, he made another one before this, okay. So I think with Spider-Man, that kind of helps to create what, again, I think of as the superhero movie formula, and then a lot of things are carbon copies of that. Dark Knight was establishing a trend of trying to make superhero movies that spoke to more than just comic fans and more than just superhero fans, and trying to get people to take their movies seriously as real movies. So yeah, I kind of think the influence is really, major and important between the both of them. But I think a lot of filmmakers have tried to kind of forget Spider-Man after that, where and, however I might feel about the Raimi Spider-Man movies, I'm not saying this because I don't think they hold up as well, but I think filmmakers don't think they hold up as well. Like, I don't think filmmakers are going back to that movie the way they are Batman and Dark Knight. I think for people in the movie industry, Spider-Man is dated, and Begins and Dark Knight are not dated. And I think that is not also wholly true, because whenever I see... And I don't mean to say that Begins and Dark Knight are too dated themselves. I think that every time something tries to copy the tone and especially the sound of those movies, those things feel dated, where I'm like, okay, you forgot we made anything past 2008. So Dark Knight itself doesn't feel like a super dated movie to me, but a lot of things go back and try to recreate that. And I go, yeah, we need to start trying some new things. You guys still think that the hot ticket is Nolan now. And that was, well over a decade ago.
That blew my mind that they're only 3 years apart. That's crazy.
Isn't that wild? Yeah.
Because one, yeah, like you said, one feels so much more dated than the other one. Here we go. Cap, what would your pitch be for season 2 of Watchmen, Blue Dragon 5?
Oh man, that's really rough.
That's hard because we could have never pitched season 1 of Watchmen.
No, exactly. And that's one of the things I loved about it, was that I couldn't imagine what you would do with that in present day, and then I was really blindsided by it, and I felt really challenged by it. I felt like it was really creative. I would almost want, this is a cop-out answer, but I would almost want, DJ, a lot of years to pass between seasons. Like, what was cool about... Yeah, what were you going to say?
No, I was gonna say, do a Fargo thing. Do like kind of an anthology series, just different stories that take place in that universe, because I like that universe so much. That's kind of what they... I mean, this was super tied into the original story, obviously, but you could totally tell stories that were just kind of like barely connected to each other.
You're right. Universe. Well, I wasn't even thinking that. I was thinking more like, don't make one right, and this is why I'm calling it a cop-out. Don't make one right now. Wait 10 years, and then make one still in present day, but 10 years
You're saying
from
in
now.
Our world, like time in our world, yeah.
Yeah, and theirs. Because, well,
yeah.
And the reason I'm saying that is because I remember Watchmen was an alternate present, not an alternate future or past when it came out. So it was an alternate 1986. Because it was 1986, and so Lindelof was trying to and this is why I think he said it's not a sequel, even though it absolutely totally was, where he was trying to like do Watchmen again, but with Watchmen in his shows past. I still think the way he pitched that was absolute nonsense, but like I get what he was trying to say, kind of, and because I liked the show now, I feel even weirder about the way he pitched it, because it sounded like it must have been it's hard to imagine that a show, and I know a lot of people don't like that show, but it's hard to imagine that a thing is as good as I think that show is when the pitch is, well, no, everybody, it's not a sequel, it's a reimagining, but Watchmen actually happened. Like, that sounds like gobbledygook. And then I don't think it was. It kind of worked. It's still weird to put a live-action on TV sequel to a comic book. I
still don't say that the next one has to be some other.
Should be some other medium. Yeah, it should be a concept album, clearly. But I'm just saying that it would be cool to wait a lot of time and then do it, and just keep checking in with that universe and challenge us with how different that world is after what happened at the end of that show. Just like we get, decades in between Watchmen and the HBO Watchmen show, and you couldn't have imagined how things would unfold. Like, I would have never guessed at a lot of the status quo in the future of how the cops were being handled with that experiment they were trying in Tulsa, and with the way that Veidt attempts to keep the utopia going, but it isn't really a utopia at all. Like, he won, but he didn't win. Like, it didn't really work out, but at least we didn't blow up, so it sort of worked out. But I always said, and like I made this case before, but I always said that I expected when I first read Watchmen that at the end of that story, either the utopia works out or it doesn't. And Lindelof gave us something in between, which I never would have imagined, and it totally works, I think. And so I wouldn't want to go right off from them. That's why I was really glad that they didn't immediately announce a second season and that Lindelof said he didn't want to do any more of it, because I just don't know that you can keep that momentum, and because that's such a good self-contained piece, that feels like it would be really hard not to feel like a forced second season. And secondly, I wasn't super keen on the very last scene, like the way that scene that show ends. And I don't know that I want to see spoilers if you haven't seen that show, but there's a character that seems like she might have superpowers at the end of that, and I don't know if I want to watch that show. So I don't know. I would kind of want a completely different thing. So yeah, your idea of an anthology show that goes to some other time period would be really good, but you could really only go backwards, because I don't know if I would want that show being made now to go 10 or 20 years from now. I don't know if I want alternate future Watchmen.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, well, Fargo goes all over the place. Like, the movie or the show, even though it was made like 2012, it takes place in 2006, the first season, and the second season is in the 70s, and then the third season is in 2010, and I think for the fourth season they're going all the way back to like the 20s or something.
Oh, that's
crazy.
Cool. Yeah,
they jump all over the place.
But the thing is, you've established almost a tradition now with Watchmen. I mean, two does not a pattern make, but it's what I would want the tradition for Watchmen to be. I mean, I realize in comics we haven't done this. We did before Watchmen, where we did different time periods all over before Watchmen actually happens, and then Doomsday Clock is is like the early 90s, I think, or is it present day? I'm forgetting now. I don't think it catches up right to now, but maybe I'm mistaken. I don't remember. I read the first few issues of that and was not real keen on it. I think some of the writing in that book is just plain not good, but I'll review it eventually. I've never been able to get past the 4th or 5th issue. I just can't take it seriously. I keep trying. I like the art.
We got 2 super chats that I want to grab.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait for a while. Mr. Roboto, idea. Okay, I'm going to read it straight as it is. Idea: Midwestern panels, the comic book.
That's kind of odd. So you do kind of a documentary about comic shops in comic book form, or would it be like that exact document? That would be strange 6 years later, like if I did a thing like that, I would want to do something new with it now, I guess. But people ask me about that idea back when I made the Midwestern panels, like what if you did a comic book version of it? I think that would just be really boring.
Oh.
You know,
You'd just be reading interviews.
You'd be reading, yeah, exactly. Just dudes sitting in chairs talking. Like, you can listen to them do that. I think people would much rather watch and listen to that than read it. I mean, like, it is mostly interviews. There's a lot of cool stuff on the screen, of course, but you could, a lot of that movie you could just listen to.
It would basically just be a 90s Wizard magazine.
Exactly. I made it as visual as I could make it, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's comic shop owners and some patrons of comic shops talking about the comic industry in retail. Like, that's what it is.
Okay, but that was an interesting question.
Yeah.
T-Edge1
Hi, Tom.
$5 super chat. TV Grim Reaper keeps track of spring/fall TV shows. XCW shows might get canceled/renewed. Do you like sites like that? How long will he have his job? Whoa.
Okay, I don't know what any of that means, and at first I thought we were reading a headline written in the 1920s. I kept expecting somebody to say stop, you know?
I wish someone would, because I didn't know where to stop because there was no punctuation.
Tom, I think you're talking about something I'm not aware of, man. I'm sorry. I don't know whose job we're talking about.
I think I got it. So
yeah.
I think it's a person, an internet personality. TV Grim Reaper keeps track of spring/fall TV shows.
Yeah.
Example, CW shows might get canceled/renewed. So that's something that he talks about. Do you like sites like that, or how long will he have his job? I guess he's asking if that's like a valid job.
Oh, like how much longer? Well, I would be real surprised. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. Yes, I have seen some.
Than what we do, so I'm a little.
Yes, I have seen some sites like that. I don't know if I've looked at the one you're talking about. I would be really surprised if that was that guy's day job. But I guess it might be. But like, how much longer does a person like that have? Well, the larger question, I'll just start there at the end of that. The larger question is, how much longer does cable television have? Shows being actually aired, broadcast, are they going to get renewed or not? There's going to be that question with streaming services moving forward as well. The only difference is we're not gonna hear about it in the same way we do broadcast, because streaming services seem to keep stuff a lot closer to the chest. So when they cancel something, it's not at like, we're not waiting to find out for fall or spring schedules. It's not, oh, is this show going to get renewed for the fall? Are we ever going to see another season? And then when you find out that we're not, it's just, okay, it's done now, and that's it. So yeah, I mean, that site wouldn't be warranted and valid in the same way if we didn't have broadcast television. But yeah, I mean, sites like that are useful, like anything, because it's just kind of an aggregate. It's just kind of a place with a list of things, kind of reporting whether or not something has been announced that it's going to stick around. I have found those things useful. Certainly there's some speculation on them, but the ones I've looked at tend to make it really clear that they're saying, I think this will happen, I think this won't, and here's what the official announcements are. We don't know about this yet, but here's what I like having all that in one place, like, here's what the numbers are, here are the ratings, here's how well this show is watched. Oh, it doesn't seem like anybody's watching it, there's a good chance it's on the chopping block, and here's other evidence that it might not make it, or here's a show that's not doing real great, but here's why it might get renewed anyway because of the precedent set by these other things. So yeah, those are just, pop culture analysts like anything, and that can be certainly useful. Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing about YouTube and the internet, and this is our same thing goes for us, but like, we're putting stuff out there that's like, not all of your stuff, but most of our stuff, and all those sites, all of their stuff is like, you're putting it out there just to be watched for a specific time, and then no one's ever going to go back to it.
No one's ever going to look at it again.
We're just like adding and adding and adding all this content, and it's like, it's just sitting there, like, it's taking up space. I mean, I guess there's an infinite amount of space on the internet, so it doesn't matter, but like, it's
yes,
just a
but
weird
that
thing.
has always been true of journalism. Now, I'm not saying what I do is journalism exactly. Certainly, some of the analysis I do on stuff falls close to sort of in that category, but I'm not like reporting as much as I'm discussing news that a lot of people that come here probably know about already. Like we did, I guess, a report at the beginning of this about a thing that I read an article about 10 minutes before we got on the show. I didn't do any research. I just saw a thing I wanted to talk about, and so we weighed in a little bit. I guess there was a little bit of analysis there, if you want to call it that. But yeah, DJ, I mean, that's the case with magazines and newspapers, and kind of reporting and or giving opinions, editorializing about things that are coming out in the day-to-day, which is really useful for people to write now. But like, it's meant to be throwaway, and there's nothing wrong with that, because we're discussing current events, which by their very nature stop being current very shortly after they're reported on. But somebody has archived all of those things somewhere. Even for the majority of things, even stuff that was in print well before the internet, you still had archives, you still had microfiche, and so it is interesting to ponder the fact that there is, especially now on video, when it's taking up a lot more space than it used to, that you're talking about megabytes and gigabytes and terabytes even of information that people are probably never going to actually go back and look at, but good thing to have around for historians in case something does come up that somebody wants to write about, that they can go back to videos somebody made 20 years ago and see how people were discussing a certain topic, or what was thought about something then that later we found out was completely incorrect. Like, there's a use potentially for a lot of this stuff that's just gonna sit here forever.
Yeah, much better documentation nowadays than trying to. When we're late, we could be lazy and research super easily these days. Yeah. I don't even know what it's gonna be like to write a book report. Like,
that's right, Cinematographic. I said microfiche. Look it up. It's a thing.
It's a funny word. It made me giggle too. John Ty.
Hi there.
Super chat. Why do people think that being positive? Here's these questions where he always gives us what is a fact that I don't know is necessarily
what sounds like kind of an absolute, but we could maybe dissect it, and it isn't necessarily.
So according to him, he says, why do people think that being positive is fake?
Yeah, I think
obviously some people.
I think some people do think that, right? Yeah.
Not all people.
That's just a perception that he's having of certain people. Yeah, absolutely. That's actually a really good question. I like that. I think it's because of, I'm a broken record, John, oversimplification. So you see a lot of people who have kind of bought into the idea. Let's just go to pop culture for a second, because that's what this show's about. You see, because that's not all this is about, but that's but there's a good example in pop culture for this. So you get people who have kind of bought into the idea that if it isn't dark and gritty, you can't take it seriously. That realistic means people not getting along and being mean to each other and hurting each other and that sort of thing. And so in fiction, in film and television, video games, etc., it is, for some people, maybe a large, maybe even, dare I say, a majority, maybe, of people that that enjoy film and television and stuff might be kind of programmed by that stuff to think that if something is too wholesome or if something is too positive, it's not believable, it's not realistic. And then I could see people carrying that into their day-to-day lives a little bit. I think sometimes people see other people as cheesy when they're just being nice to people or having a nice day. Or I think there's a lot of stuff that was considered not just okay and appropriate, but also like the way you were supposed to act decades ago that now people look at as kind of cheesy and goofy. And no, you need to be more down to earth. And sometimes down to earth becomes synonymous with cynical. And that's a problem, but I'm not saying everybody's like that. I just think that there is some truth to that. That is a thing that happens, certainly.
Yeah, Hawk Flame says people confuse realism with cynicism. This is amazing that you're talking about this, because this is the very first video of Geekvolution I ever listened to, which was you and Vince one of the GNN podcasts. Back when you did GNNs, but you also did the podcast.
Yeah, more long form discussions. Yeah.
The first thing I listened to was realism in entertainment. I remember it had a picture of Rambo on the front, and
I remember
you were
that
talking
one.
about how people were confusing realism with dark. And everything has to be dark, and it's still a problem.
It's still a problem,
later,
yeah.
10 years later.
Yeah, and I'm always talking about the difference between believability and realism. That even in something that's really heightened, it has to be believable. But that's just within the context of the thing. So you can make a world that is lighter or darker than the one that we're living in, and if you're consistent with the rules that you set up in the fiction that you're creating with the internal logic, then it can be believable in either direction. And the idea that in order for a thing to feel believable, nobody can get along and everybody has to hate each other and everything has to be dark and gritty is ridiculous, because that doesn't apply to every kind of internal logic of a story you might tell. But B, is all of the world necessarily like that? I don't think it is. You see what I'm saying? I mean, like, I just think that we oversimplify things. The world can be a dark and scary place, absolutely, but I also think that there is a lot of variety in every pocket of the world. There's a lot of really nice, happy people, and there's a lot of really, really mean, kind of awful people, and everybody comes from a different background, and everybody gets there for a different reason. And we don't want our entertainment to tell us that the world is 100% one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Blue Dragon 5, when I first read that question, said something that I think is hilarious, and we should start a show called this. He says, the shoebox of philosophical questions.
Because he's got his shoebox.
That sounds like a perfect name for a show.
Yeah, well, we just put a bunch, like you take a bunch of questions ahead of time, and then I just start pulling them out of a shoebox. We could do that show. Ooh, I've got it. You know how we plan everything while everybody's watching us? We're going to do that right now. So what I think we should do, DJ, Perfect. For that show that we were talking about earlier, that will probably be maybe pre-recorded. Maybe we'll take like a couple super chats during that show if we do it live, but like we would cut it off. We wouldn't have very many. I don't know. Or maybe we would just pre-record it. But what we do is, instead of you selecting the questions, you just put a whole bunch of, just make sure they're not, that none of them are time sensitive. Take all the not time sensitive questions that you've accumulated for the last year, put them all in a shoebox, or send me the file and I'll cut it all out and put it in a shoebox, and then I'll just pull it out of a shoebox that whole show. That's what we'll do.
That'd be awesome. A little visual aid.
Yeah. I love visual aids.
Could you also have like
I also love
elementary school
accidental product placement. I'm sorry, what?
Nothing. I'll get my product.
Dude, nobody has given that movie
on Blu-ray
more product placement over the 3 or 4 months that it has existed than you. Which is hilarious because I don't even like that. But see, you bought it. I don't even like that movie enough to have bought it yet.
I really like the marketing on this movie. They did some great package design for this one. Anyway,
I have a hard time even appreciating the art because I dislike that movie. You know what I mean? Like, you're right, it looks cool, but I don't care. Like, I just don't like it. I still feel weird about having not bought that yet. It's called Birds of Prey. I should have ran out and grabbed it immediately, but it's not a Birds of Prey movie, and I didn't like it that much. Anyway,
let's get, now that I've got Cap nice and angry, let's ask your question, shall we? Ceci, real quick, is there any way to rewatch the 24-hour superhero stream?
The short answer at the moment is no. I have all of the files on a hard drive. I had to put them up for a limited time on a Google Drive so that people could watch them, but I couldn't keep them there, or I would have to pay for my Google Drive because you can only have, there's a limited amount of space there, and I don't use the drive enough to pay regularly just so that a few people can go back and look at the 24-hour stream. It is unfortunate that I did not figure out my audio settings before that happened, and had to get a lot of the TV audio in there so that it was copyright flagged. That's why you can't listen to it right now. So 2 of the 4 are still up, but I have it all unlisted right now because you can't get to all of it. So I mean, I could send you the links to 2 of those streams. Next time I do one, though, we shouldn't have that problem. I should be able to keep that up forevermore. So I hate that happened. Hopefully I'll come up with another, one thing I could do. I mean, I wouldn't be on camera, but and I'll go ahead and reveal this now. I am going to, and I've alluded to this already. Or maybe I straight up announced it in the last rewind. So this is not news, but some of you guys may not have heard about this yet. I am very shortly going to be archiving all of Superhero Rewind in audio format and putting it up as a regular podcast, and you'll be able to find it on places like iTunes, and I'm hoping to even get it on Spotify. And Rewind will continue to be on YouTube, but it will be audio only, and it will also be in a podcast. And I might be able to take the audio files and put them in podcast form, because I wouldn't have the same problems with copyright on the podcast that I do on YouTube. So that is a potential way to solve that problem. That might be a solution, but I don't know if I want to put it there, so I'll have to think about it. But if there was enough interest in that, I might consider doing that. It was an epic show. It really was.
It was really cool. It was like the second thing to a reunion too, because you had so many guests on there.
Yeah, Gregor Davison, it should be on the podcast app, and thanks for the kind words there. I thought that would be a nice trade-off for everybody, because I know a lot of folks are going to be bummed that that pictures and video will no longer be available for Rewind, that I've got to go back to the glorified podcast thing, and that's going to be a permanent decision now. I'm not going to go back and forth anymore. I've just had too many problems with it, and there's not enough time in my week to edit it and get those up at any kind of a clip, so I'm still not promising a particular amount, how often that's going to come out, but I'm surely going to be able to do it more often than I was. And I know that at the same time as there's a lot of people that want to be able to watch it, there are also a lot of people that like to just listen to it and are bummed that it's not in podcast format anymore, because that was easily downloaded and it doesn't take up as much bandwidth. So you can, even if you don't download it on your phone, if you play it back, you don't have to worry about YouTube, and it doesn't, use up as much bandwidth for if you're like out and about and you're trying to use it and you're trying to use your phone. So yeah.
Stussy just asked us if there's any updates on Morphin Mania. I'm wondering if he doesn't know about the channel, because we're still publishing 2 videos a week over there on the channel.
Yeah, the update is it's going. It's happening every week. We do 2 episodes. There's 40 minutes or better of Morphin Mania on a weekly basis. We're just about to get into Turbo pretty soon. I don't know where we're at on Zio in the uploads, because DJ and I are ahead right now.
Yeah, I can look real quick while you're talking and see what episode we're on.
Yeah, a lot of people have not gotten the memo. We've done everything we can to make that clear. I wonder if we should start, making ads for it. I hate to do in-video ads, but maybe we should do a few just so that people know about it. Just a quick, 5-10 second thing, Morphin Mania, this channel. Maybe, hey, DJ, maybe you could re-edit the intro and put, just that Morphin Mania is a channel at the end of it. We have that really nice opener that's like watch every episode of Power Rangers, and then maybe the end of it is just subscribe at Morphin Mania the channel, just put that in there, and then we can just put that in front or behind a few videos. Maybe more people will know about it.
We could do that. We are on day 99. It uploaded yesterday, and that's Zio episode 39. So. Catching up.
10 more after. Wow, which means you and I have got to start shooting again, because we're going to catch up to ourselves pretty soon.
Yeah. All right.
Because Zio was 50, right?
Yes. So, and we're actually caught up on the uploads pretty soon, because I still have to get those, quite a few episodes from you, so I can upload those last ones.
Yeah, thanks, Hawkflame. I appreciate that, man. Cinematographic, are you going to have the time to do ads? Like I said, I would just make it it wouldn't be us on camera talking about it. Probably.
Daniel Davis just subscribed to Morphin Mania. Thanks, man.
Yeah, enjoy. I hope you like that. Also, can I talk about Power Rangers for a second?
Absolutely.
DJ, I want to take this opportunity to mention something. So I have gotten hip deep with my kids in the middle of the Power Rangers miniatures game from Renegade Studios. It's absolutely fantastic, and I really want to do some content about that game, and I cannot decide if I want to stream about it, because I want to do some gameplay of it, to show folks how cool it is, and show off miniatures that I painted and stuff. I've gotten into miniature painting. I'm no good at it, but I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I think I'm getting a little bit better. I did a pumpkin wrapper that looks pretty good, but I'm having a hard time with Rangers. Some of them are not coming out quite the way I want them to. But anyway, and I just did Crazy Megazord. I'll have to show you that, DJ, soon, because I painted, I painted my big Megazord, and he's got a real, like, dirty metallic look, and I'm digging it, but I also think I can do a little bit better with it. Anyway, I'm becoming a perfectionist about this. So I just can't decide if we should stream about that on the main channel or on Morphin Mania, because we have a Power Rangers specific channel, but more people would find out about it if we did it here. So I just can't decide where I should put those videos.
Yeah,
but
well, I mean, it's totally up to you.
But I just got my new sets in the mail, DJ. So just today, I haven't even opened these yet. I got the cellophane off one of them right before we started broadcasting, and then I had to broadcast. But look, I got the Zeo pack.
Oh, that's what you said when you
said so I got
opening stuff.
So I got my Zeo Rangers. I'm very excited about that. And
Rangers?
I don't have gold yet because he's coming in the Allies pack, which is supposed to ship in a couple weeks. It is still officially on pre-order, but it's supposed to come out pretty soon. And there was also a Kickstarter exclusive, because these are done through Kickstarter, and which is a really smart way to keep the thing going. They like 1,000% fund every one of these when they do a Kickstarter. There's so much interest in it, and that allows them to make these way cooler and put out more sets and put out more figures than they possibly could have had they not done it through Kickstarter. So it's fantastic. They have like 2,500 backers every time. So for all of these expansions. So there's the Zeo pack, and then you're gonna love this. And by love this, I mean you're not. But look, it's the Tommy Oliver pack. They have now made it possible to play as nothing but Tommy in the miniatures game. And not only that, DJ, but you could play a 5-ranger game. This is 2 to 5 players. It's possible to kind of retool it to be a 1-player game too. But it's cooperative, so you're not playing against each other. It's you and your team versus the board, which is really fun. My kids and I have been really enjoying it. And it's been kind of a fun teaching tool for, cooperation and stuff for my kids. So we've been playing it every day. And anyway, but this makes it possible, DJ, to play as 5 Tommies if you wanted to, and then you could have Evil Green Ranger as one of your monsters, and then you could have Draken as the boss at the end. So you could play an all-Tommy game now, on the good guy and the bad guy side.
Oh, wonderful. That's great.
DJ hates Tommy. But yeah, the figures in this set are just gorgeous. They're fantastic, and I want to do some footage on it. And also, I got the Mega Goldar. Look, I got the big giant Goldar that's to scale with the Megazord.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it.
That's cool.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't think he ever got big with the wings. Because all the big footage we would have had would have been from season 1, and then we gave him the wings in season 2.
Didn't he get giant again at the end of Zeo though, or was that only because Zed and Rita got big? No.
Yeah, but they were just sitting in the RV. Yeah, it was just.
Or was that just Mondo?
Zed and Rita.
Because I thought they got big, didn't they? Okay, but
yeah,
none of the minions did. I can't remember now. We just shot that too. I'm forgetting.
We are terrible at remembering.
Do we have any more super chats? We're right at an hour, so we're gonna go ahead and.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.
Oh goodness, that many? Okay, let's knock them out real quick then.
John Ty, why is it so hard to trust others? There's another one.
Because you can't get in other people's heads, and because there's precedent for people doing bad things to other people, and also because we live in an era now where, there's been enough of the sorts of crimes that would make you want to lock your doors, that just immediately kind of fosters distrust, right? Like, I don't know. I think that's kind of a common sense question. Like, I wish that you have to have that trust but verify attitude, right? Like, I think you want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but you don't want to be an idiot also, you know?
Yeah, I think that's definitely, it depends also. Like, more people, if they have things in their past that give them reason not to trust people, then it's harder for them to trust people. I think some people's nature is actually to trust people to a fault, even.
Daniel Davis says John Ty needs to stop hogging the questions. Yeah, if he keeps throwing in super chats, we got to answer him. But John, I may have to start answering yours a little bit quicker, buddy, because I do want to get to some other folks' pre-written stuff. So thanks so much for all the super chats. We appreciate it.
I like Vitali says John wants us to question everything.
Yes, question everything. Yeah. Well, that's the sign of a critical thinker. So.
Yeah, that's a good problem to have. TH1.
Yeah.
That he says that was exactly what I was asking. I recently bought Harley Quinn season 1 on Amazon. Do you think it will get a third season? Your channel is awesome.
Thanks. It is really good, and it's very critically acclaimed, and people love it. And there's just not a lot else like it on. And these are all things I didn't think I would ever be saying about this show, but it is constantly surprising me. It's constantly making me laugh at things that I wouldn't even usually find funny. And it's finding really cool, clever ways to adapt stuff. They're in season 2. They're kind of doing No Man's Land, and it's a neat version. So yeah, I'll be really surprised if it doesn't get a third season. I think that show's got real legs. I think there's every potential for that to last 4 or 5 seasons. I also said that about The Tick, but I think more people are watching this. And I will say, minor spoilers for that show, they are not afraid of killing off major characters you've heard of, which is a thing I really appreciate about that show. So, like, huge major Batman villains, they've already killed off in that show. Like, it's no holds barred. It will do anything. It seems to be working under the assumption that it will not be on forever, which I really respect it for. I hope that if it stays popular and they keep it on, they don't suddenly decide, oh, we've run out of characters because we killed off people, so now we have to find stupid ways to resurrect them and stuff. And they've done fake outs in that show too, but they have, unless we find out later that it's a fake out, because I'm only 3 or 4 episodes into season 2. But where I'm at right now, it looks like that they're legitimately killing off people. So they may even have kind of an ending point in mind. I don't know, which I wouldn't think with that show either. But if you haven't seen it, like, it is episodic in its way. Like, its episodes, for the most part, stand alone pretty well, but there is certainly an ongoing narrative, and it's not afraid of shaking up status quo. So it's neat. I wish more serious stuff was more like it, not in, the absurd comedy way, but in how oddly sophisticated its drama is.
Next up, John Ty. Where should the line be drawn between criticism and harassment?
Oh man, another one of these.
I don't know what that means. Like,
I guess he means
what the difference is.
I guess he means like of course it should be okay to like be critical of a person, but at what point does telling them they're wrong cross a line into being a total jerk and harassing them? And I also think that is something of a common sense question. Not to be fair, it does seem like the internet does not know the difference. And so I get why he's saying that. I feel like a lot... Now I'm kind of just psychoanalyzing John. It's really hard. When you get a bunch of questions from the same person that are all kind of philosophical in nature, it's really hard not to just start psychoanalyzing the guy. But I think a lot of the things that John's asking about are based on experiences that maybe he's had on the internet. Like a lot of the things that he is interested in and curious about and concerned about especially seem to be because of the internet, which is not reality, but is reality, if that makes any sense at all. You know what I mean? Because, like, it's obviously the internet's really influential, and a lot of people have, entire relationships on the internet, but there is also a difference between going out of your house and talking to people and the way they interact with each other face-to-face and the way people are on the internet. So the kinds of line crossing that you get on the internet from criticism into harassment is not happening in as much in the same way in real life. People tend to just avoid each other, which is also not good.
Yeah, I think that's a good measure, honestly. Like, just before you type something, think if you would actually say that to their face.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't type it. Just be nice. And being positive is not fake, as we learned earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
John Ty. Another one from John Ty. Last one from John Ty, I think. What's the worst thing about fandom?
Interesting.
I guess what we were just talking about.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
ownership over it and harassment and stuff like that.
It's probably just the fact that a lot of people in fandom seem to take themselves too seriously, and people like trying to tell you what you can and can't like. I don't like that. I will come right out and say that bugs me, and this is in both in the political sense of this is breaking some kind of social rule, so how dare you enjoy it? That's one thing, and then also, I mean, obviously there are maybe certain creators and people that you wouldn't want to support in things that they're doing that you wouldn't want to condone, but I have a separation for the most part between, you know, creator and creation. And then the other thing is, man, I've lost my train of thought. I apologize. What were we talking about?
Fandom in general, problems with it. People take themselves too seriously.
So thank you. So you got the political side of that, and then you also have the whole consensus idea. That's what I was trying to get to. The internet or even reality, we think, has all come together and said this is good and this is bad, and so because of what we've determined is objective quality, you can and can't enjoy these certain things, and that is, again, as I'm always saying, kind of anti-critical thinking. So it's perfectly valid to like things that are not particularly objectively good things, and it's also not always there's also, you know, places where you can disagree on what is, obviously, on what is good and what is bad. I mean, we talk about this all the time, of course, but when you're talking about, you know, the way a person feels versus the quality of a thing critically, those are different things. They can converge in some place, but they're different, and people should be allowed their opinions, and they should be allowed to change and grow, like I'm always saying.
Yeah. Next from Connor Nielsen.
Hi, Connor. How are you doing, man?
And I don't know exactly what he means by this, but we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Favorite side characters in superhero movies. I don't know the qualifications. I don't know how deep we have to go before they're side characters.
Yeah, I would assume that he's talking. And again, I have to kind of bring something to the question, so I'm with you. This may not be what exactly he's talking about, but I would assume he would mean characters in superhero movies that aren't superheroes or aren't villains, that fall somewhere in between that are either like the sidekicks to a bad guy, or the friends of the hero, or the cops, or a love interest, that kind of thing. I have for years wanted to do a superhero rewind on top 10 cops in superhero movies and top 10 love interests in superhero movies. These are ideas I've had since 2010.
So not like an Aunt May and Uncle Ben, but like a little bit deeper, like a Flash Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, I think Aunt May counts too, though. She's still recurring and is important to those. I think Aunt May and Flash Thompson fall in the same category.
Okay.
I would think for that. But now that we've sort of halfway defined parameters, the first thing that comes to my mind is Jim Gordon and Begins in Dark Knight. Of course, that's a really great, wonderful character.
Yeah. I would say one of my favorites is what's his, I don't even know the character's name at this point. The Stern. No. Yeah, is it Stearns?
In Ninja Turtles?
Dr. Samuel Stearns from Incredible Hulk.
Oh, yes, right.
He's delightfully fun, and
Chief Stearns is Ninja Turtles. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be mine. There's other stuff we can go to.
Yeah, I don't know my actual favorite.
That's an easier question to answer for television because those characters get more screen time, right? So like, you know, one of the TV ones I would go to, of course, would be Foggy Nelson from Daredevil. But I like the Foggy in the Daredevil movie too. I think he would still probably be on that list.
Yeah. He's great. Favreau. And then we got another one from Connor Nielsen.
Hey, thanks, man. What's up?
Your most quoted Batman 89 line. He says his is, "Hello, legs."
I love that. I love that line. Yeah, that's great. Mine has become, because I say it all the time on this show, "Could you pass the salt?" And also, you know how a normal person gets up in the morning and goes downstairs. So there's that whole speech that's in there. Dance with the Devil is so overused, I don't tend to go to it a lot, but I do the Joker poem a lot. I'm only laughing on the outside. My smile is just skin deep. If you could see inside, I'm really crying. You might join me for a weep. But yeah, I could do this all day.
Yeah, you more than anyone probably in the world, I think.
Probably in the world. Although in the Discord and the SSSS, this is done a lot. We quote a lot of 89 and we quote a lot of Defoe as Green Goblin. I think those two are kind of equal. Daniel Davis says the pen is truly mightier than the sword. That one's really good. Stussy, Drinkin' Drano. I say Drinkin' Drano a lot. That's in there. He's been using brand X, says Blue Dragon 5. Blue Dragon 5. So I guess there's no right answer for me on this because most of the things you guys are saying, I just quote that movie all the time. That's why we did the quote along twice. Because I know that movie so well, I can just do a lot of the script while we're watching it. But it's funny you mentioned Brand X because I like that line so much that my wife and I called our wireless network at our first apartment Brand X. Oh, Matthew Bass, I do that one a lot too. He stole my balloons. Sometimes I think people bring up that movie just to get me to say a bunch of quotes and yell at the camera because there's a lot of yell. I think that's part of the reason I enjoy that quoting that movie so much is I get to yell a lot.
Yeah, Kyle's a big fan of yelling.
I am. Stussy, I don't know if it's art, but I like it.
Quotes went over my head over the years.
Jack really likes it. Yeah, because you don't know that movie. Jack likes to really pronounce the consonants. Tyler Overall, that's another of my favorites. Yeah. Why didn't anyone tell me you had one of those things?
All right, well, that is all, folks.
All right, cool. Well, that was appropriate. We're ending with a discussion of a Warner Brothers movie. Of course, we can't watch that movie because we don't have a Warner Brothers ball cap. But anyway, oh yeah, Daniel Davis, that one's good too. Sometimes I just kill myself. Anyway, everybody, thanks a lot for watching. Sure appreciate it. That ends today's edition of The Captain Logan Show, and we'll see you again on Thursday night, where we'll do this whole crazy thing again, and we'll probably do a goal that night for a second hour. So drop in and hang out with us then, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are as well. In the meantime, I was Captain Logan. This was DJ Marquez.
Bye, folks.
Later, folks. Thanks for watching.